Hey RT family, Ryan Reynolds here with Keller Williams Consultants Realty and your February 2023 real estate market update. So what's going on in February of 2023? Well, we've got two things we're going to talk about. One of those is statistics, and that's going to be broken into part A, B, and C. And we have a second thing that we're going to talk about, which is a seasonal opportunity that only happens once a year. And I want to make sure you know about it in case it's something you think you can take advantage of. So let's go ahead and get into our first statistic, which is the number of homes on the market. So as of right now, there's 2,914 homes on the market in the entire greater Columbus area. Now that includes about 2 million people and over 10,000 real estate agents. And so when you think of it in that perspective, it's a very low number. From a seasonal standpoint, that number is pretty darn low too, because this time of year is probably when we see the fewest new listings coming onto the market as people are waiting for the spring market. Seasonally, what happens is that people take them off for Christmas a lot of times. They'll bring them back on the 1st of January, and a lot of times they'll sell by the end of January. And so, the number of inventory goes down. But the number of new listings coming on the market really stays low until March, mid-March or April, and sometimes that depends on when the weather breaks. So anyway, 2,914 is our current number. It's very low. So part B of our statistics section is the number of days on market. And if you listen to the headlines and the national media, the sky is falling because the days on market have more than doubled. Well, that is absolutely true. They've more than doubled from 6 to 15. So if you're worried about 15 days on market, then you probably have other problems. However, this is a really fast moving real estate market, and the best houses are really selling in a couple of days, if not 1 or 2 days. And even the homes that are on the market that have been there for a while are starting to sell. So the last thing we're going to get into is our letter C, and that is the appreciation rate from January to January. Now last month, if you remember, we were about 11%. So December was 11%. This month we're looking at about a 4% increase. And you just think, oh man, that's really slowed down quite a bit. But what really happened is that last January, things went crazy. I don't know if you remember or not, but there was bidding wars were starting. In fact, I had one house that had 24 offers in January of last year. And so that was a very unusual year. And we were coming out of the COVID sort of lockdown stuff. And I think people were ready to finally move. So this year is a more normal 4% increase over last year. And in fact, if you look at the national average of home appreciation rates for any 30-year period going back really since about the 1950s, that has been about a 4% incline. So returning to normal, inflation's coming down as well, and that's kind of a little bonus statistic there. In fact, the Federal Reserve only has raised the interest rates about 0.25%. So I think things are starting to return to somewhat normal in terms of the inflation and the price appreciation of homes. Now that said, this spring could be a different animal because we're hearing that interest rates are going to be coming down. And with the lack of inventory and more buying power, more buyers being able to get in the market, it could return to kind of a somewhat crazy spring. So we'll have to see and wait and find out what happens then, but that's what we're hearing right now. Okay, now we're moving on to one of my favorite topics, and that's number 2 in this month's real estate market update, and that is the gap. So what is the gap, you say? Well, the gap is a period of time when there is an unusual opportunity for sellers to sell their house, because in every year, this is a microcycle of a seller's market. So in a seller market, it makes it like a super seller's market, and that's kind of what we're going into. And a gap happens, or the gap happens, I should say, from about end of January until probably the end of February, something like that, maybe a little bit into March. But it's the time when there's not very many homes coming on in the market, like we talked about with inventory, and that the buyers are coming out because the weather has gotten better. Now, if you've been outside recently, depending on when this video actually comes out, weather's been pretty good in January and in February, and so we're starting to see the buyers come out early this year. And I'm expecting the gap period of time to be a little crazier than normal. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a house to sell and you're thinking about waiting until March or April to sell it, you might be better off to sell it now in February or even early March and take advantage of this micro seller's market, because it could actually put a little bit more money into your pocket, make the sale process a little bit easier. And at the end of the day, I think that's pretty much what everyone wants. So that's our real estate market update for February of 2023. We hope you're having a great winter and are looking forward to our spring sales market. I know I am. If you're thinking about making a move this year and you want to know more about your specific situation, definitely reach out to us. We'll come over to your house, we'll do an in-depth analysis and help you figure out what specifically you should be doing and when specifically you should be doing it based on where you live and what kind of home you have. That's all for today. Ryan Reynolds with the Ryan Reynolds team. As always, unlimited opportunities and exceptional experiences.